Bitcoin is digital property. It's universally acknowledged as common property because it had a fair distribution, no ICO, no management team. Satoshi disappeared. It's pari passu to a commodity, to land, to gold. And it's pretty important that it be deemed property. The rest of the cryptos could be securities. There's just a lot of regulatory overhang and question about whether they're securities or not. And I think that the great innovation is the creation of common property in cyberspace. It took us 13 years to get to the point where that's universally acknowledged. So that makes Bitcoin the safe haven for a public investor or a public company. Everything else feels more like either venture capital or speculation. You know, I learned a lot of humility. We came public in 1998, so now I've been a public company CEO for many, many, many quarters. I lived to see 99% of my peers exit the business. So I didn't really understand this at the time, but now as I look back, what I realize is all my peers exited the business because they're forced to grow their top line and their cash flows at a frenetic rate, and eventually they get undone by dilutive acquisitions, and then they have to sell themselves. Microstrategy, we've been very fortunate. We've been focused. We soldiered on. And we've always had a passion to make the best software we could. And as our competitors disappeared, we found opportunities.
You've witnessed some serious roller coasters. You saw the dot-com bubble blow up and burst before your eyes. What lessons have you taken away from that informs your strategy today?
I would boil it down to this stoic observation, right? You can acquire a thing, but can you maintain the thing? And if you can maintain the thing, can you enjoy the thing? And what I discovered is a lot of people acquire things they can't maintain, and a lot of people can maintain things, but they can't ever enjoy. And so you want to boil it down to another metaphor. It's laser focus. You have to figure out what you are the best in the world at, and what you can continue to be the best at the world at in the face of unrelenting, exponentially increasing competition. And once you figure out what that is, focus on it with all of your resolve. And if you do that, then you can stay in business. That's the first thing I learned. That's why I have laser eyes on Twitter. The whole point of laser eyes is you've got a solution, focus on the solution. Don't get distracted by all of your good ideas and allow it to dilute your focus on your great idea. I feel like most of my life was leading up to this point, and I understood the power of dominant digital networks like Google and Facebook and Amazon and Apple because I rode that for a decade. I also understood the detriment of not being that dominant network. Microstrategy competes against Microsoft. We compete against companies 100 times as big as us. When we got to 2020, what I saw was the winning strategy is digital transformation if you have the dominant network. The losing strategy is to continue to work harder and exponentially harder for a currency growing exponentially weaker. And I had a sense of the consequences if we did nothing, because I had seen the demise of 99% of my competitors, and I could see where we were headed if we stuck with the status quo. We would have to either adopt a Bitcoin strategy or sell the company, and we elected to pursue Bitcoin. Many people didn't really understand Bitcoin very well. They haven't taken the time to focus on it. Even today, I would say that 98% of the population hasn't spent 10 hours thinking hard about Bitcoin. So in the year 2020, I think most people were just ignoring it. It wasn't really registering with them, maybe 1%. I think that when we talked to our investors, what was interesting is privately, most investors were aware of Bitcoin and they thought it was a good idea. Publicly, their institutions that they're part of have a 3 to 5 year time lag from the point at which they can adopt new ideas. If you're going to invest in Bitcoin, a short time horizon is 4 years, a mid-time horizon is 10 years. The right time horizon is forever. You know, Warren Buffett said, you know, if you wouldn't hold it for 10 years, you shouldn't hold it for 10 minutes. So if you look at the course of 4 years, no one's ever lost money over 4 years holding Bitcoin. And if you look at, you know, our experience, we started buying it at $10,000, and now it's up by a factor of 4. So given the right time horizon, you're fine. So it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is it makes it the most exciting, interesting thing in the financial universe everywhere in the world. And the curse is it can induce anxiety for people that have a short attention span or are focused on a narrow time horizon.
So clearly you're a hodler. But for the people who are terrified, who have never been on this roller coaster before, shorter term, what does the trajectory of Bitcoin look like to you this year?
I feel like it's consolidating at this level. This is a great entry point for institutional investors. I talk to high net worth individuals, family offices, public company executives, private company owners, and they watch Bitcoin run up in 2021. And there are a lot of people that would be afraid to own it if it was going up 400% a year. But if they're staring at it and it's 40% off the all-time high and it's consolidating, and they see that it's being embraced by people like Bill Miller, by very well-respected investors, it's being embraced by the regulators, it's being embraced by senators and congressmen and public investors and public companies. They're looking at this as like a good entry point. I'd be remiss, Emily, not to make a more important point, which is what's really going on here at a macro level is inflation. The CPI headline inflation is 7%. Look at the Turkish lira. It's collapsing. The peso is collapsing. So there's a volatility story for a conventional investor in Manhattan that's got a portfolio of equities. But 75% of the world can't buy the S&P index. They're in Africa, Asia, South America, and if they've got their assets in banks, they're going to have them seized. They can't buy the equity. So the real story here is digital property that solves a problem that 8 billion people face. Yeah, we're going to buy more. We're buying more with our cash flows. We've adopted a Bitcoin standard, Emily. That means that when we generate cash, we sweep it into Bitcoin. We've been generating, anywhere from $70 to $100 million of cash flow. So we will also buy Bitcoin with debt. We bought Bitcoin with $1.7 billion worth of convertible debt. We bought Bitcoin with a $500 million senior secured note that we pay 6 1/8% interest on. We also issued $1 billion worth of equity at the market, and we converted it all into Bitcoin. So combinations of cash flow, equity, debt, potentially through other partnerships. There's a profound shared appreciation that digital assets are the future of the financial industry, and the United States needs to lead. And I've been pretty impressed at the support in the Senate and Congress from the administration and from regulators all around the world for this entire crypto economy. The truth is, I'm much more comfortable today than at any point in my business career because I feel like we have found the right strategy at Microstrategy, right? The Bitcoin standard strategy. And I'm happier going to bed every night than I ever have been because I have a mission, and my mission is to educate the world on Bitcoin. And I think I can do a lot of good doing that. And the world has a need. So nothing really keeps me up at night. I'm more motivated than ever.